In today's video, I need to tell you guys about this. We have talked about this many times before, and people always say QD-OLEDs are better than LG OLEDs because of the WOLED technology and all that. And yes, QD-OLED technically is brighter and more impressive in most cases where there are bright scenes. But because the LG OLEDs have game optimizer with black and white stabilizer, we can throw ourselves ahead so much in dark scenes that I don't even think it's a competition at this point. So we are in Dead Space on PlayStation 5. This is the PS5 version. We are running dynamic tone mapping inside of HDR10 window. We do HDR always on, and we are currently in standard. Now I think this game, it looks good, but it's TAA blurry, right? So it could look better. Definitely could look better. But the most important thing here is how the game looks to us when we use the OLED. Most people, when they buy an OLED, they expect the midtones to be dark, they expect the sharpness to be better than their LCD that they had before, and they expect the contrast, the micro contrast to pop. And you will not get that from an OLED from like most games, honestly, with the default settings on the TV. You will have to tweak some stuff. So, very important, first of all, I have to put this out of the way, because this is like, if you don't put this in at first, you won't get this wow factor to this. So it's very important. You want to go into picture settings. You want to go advanced settings, brightness, and turn on dynamic tone mapping. Expression enhancer brightness on, expression enhancer go brightness. In this case, you can see that the screen becomes brighter. But in some cases, in some games, it becomes a lot brighter. And it basically adjusts brightness in bright scenes. So like, you know how you have bounce lighting? Like we have lights here that bounces the light over the room. It tries to mimic that look a little bit. Oh, sorry, wrong button. It tries to mimic that look and make it look brighter on the places where the brightness will be bouncing, right? So it's definitely looks better like this, and it's going to become even better in a moment here. So be in the brightness settings on the TV, as I said, go all the way down, and on video range here, you don't want to have this on auto, you want to have it on limited. The TVs, I don't remember what it's called, maybe it's called V-BIOS chip or whatever that LG put in. It has been programmed with limited in mind. So if you don't use limited on the TV and on the PS5, you're getting like weird, I don't know what to call it in English. But you're ruining the color gamut potential and the contrast potential of your TV, because the TV is made for limited. So now on the PlayStation 5, also very important, screen and video, go all the way down, RGB range, limited. So this is a little bit different. Full on PS5 will make black level darker and colors more vibrant, and you will have more brightness in highlights. But when used with full or limited on TV, doesn't matter. You will get too much contrast and you will ruin the image, because you go beyond what this TV can do. Because this TV is not meant to go that far. So you can try it out, but I don't recommend it. Not at all. You will be clipping highlights no matter what you do. You will be making the darkness way too dark, so you don't have micro detail and black levels anymore. It will look more like a C1, which is way worse than C4 and C3 and C2. Black level detail on that TV is not as good. Still an amazing TV, but not as good. So we choose limited so that the signal crosses perfectly like a zip thing on the jacket. I don't know what it's called. So yes, how do we get this washed out looking image? Because most people will love how this looks and most people will hate it. And we're gonna make it go and look really amazing, and we're gonna use all our tools of our disposal. So now that you guys have put in the settings on your TV and the console, we have fine-tuned dark areas and black level slider. That's the only things that can help us to adjust the picture. I'm just gonna check so that we are recording. Would have been really sad if we didn't record all of this. Okay, so fine-tune dark areas and black level are the only things that we can adjust. That's what Arial and Gaming Tech are telling you guys most of the time in their videos if you're not using reshade, but we can't do that because we're on console now. And they haven't even touched on what these two settings do: black stabilizer and white stabilizer. And in today's video, we're gonna show how these two settings make the Samsung and Sony TVs look like crap when we're playing a dark scene game. Because the mid-tones are super important to be calibrated for good clarity in darkness for our OLED experience. So, I'm not going to explain what these two do because I've done that in 2 other videos already. So go check those out if you want to have a more in-depth analysis on what they do. But in today's video, we're going to be trying first in the standard preset on the TV to adjust for this black level rays that this game has. Okay, so we're going to dial this down all the way until we don't have any black level rays. We don't have any black level rays anymore, but midtones are still lifted, like very, very much so. So we can clip a little bit of the black level. Go down to like 40 to not clip it too much. We're still clipping, but it's fine. And yeah, well, it looks a lot better, right? A lot better, but here's the thing. This looks 10 times better. Like there is no contest whatsoever. This looks 10 times better. Look at this comparison, guys. When we're looking at like shiny surfaces and the deepness over the overall image, like I don't have to tell you, man. And the thing is, with these settings, I'm just gonna check so that I'm not talking out of my ass here. We have black level 50. We can dial this up to 52 and we get even better black level detail in these strands here, and we don't get black level rays. So it's really up to you how you wanna calibrate your TV, but I'll leave it at 50 because I'm not honestly sure which one looks better personally. And on the fine-tune dark areas, we're only doing -5. So I can tell you a little bit of a quickie here, like how does black stabilizer and white stabilizer work? White stabilizer and black stabilizer. So let's begin with black stabilizer. Black stabilizer grabs the mid-tone brightness and dials it down, but it also makes sure when it's doing that stuff that is close to white and pure white are not being dialed down with brightness. This will make stuff that is white and close to white still remain with the same brightness, thus making it pop more, right? So when we've dialed this down to 0 in this game in particular, and we take white stabilizer, which will make whites and close to whites more white, thus making it higher brightness. We dial this down to white, like all the way to 0. We get more brightness from whites, and we get an overall more popping looking image. So when we compare these two, this is the best you can get without using black and white stabilizer, and this is with black and white stabilizer. Like, we're gonna go to another room here, just to show it off even more. And you guys can see, it's like we're getting a lot of, like it doesn't look that good, it's washed out, even though we did all the settings. But boom, look at this, guys. It looks so much more, like you can still see that it's black low raised in this room because of the fog. So if it didn't have fog, it would have been better. But yeah, guys, I don't think I have to tell you, it's very obvious, like it does look way better. And we still have all the details preserved. It is important that you dial this in with your eyesight very well, because if you overdo it with fine-tuned dark areas and you touch the black level, you'll be crushing blacks if you're not careful enough. Some games have a better combination when you're using HDRG. But this game in particular, like how to know if HDRG or dynamic tone mapping is better. If HDRG looks brighter and the midtones are darker, then it's better. But if the midtones of bright elements are darker, then use dynamic tone mapping. Because yeah, I don't have to tell you, that looked way better. I'll show you it again, just so for those that really couldn't see the difference, because some people miss some stuff when they're watching a video, and I'll try to be as educational as I can. So when do we need to use dynamic tone mapping instead of HDRG? Very easy. When HDRG loses brightness in highlights, that's where dynamic tone mapping looks better. It will be raising the midtones a little bit, but because we have used black stabilizer, it doesn't raise them anymore because we've limited how high the midtones can be near black. So we get an overall much better looking image. And honestly guys, I don't know how this looks on PC, but I am so shocked that Ariel and Gaming Tech aren't talking about this from the LG TVs. For dark games in particular, this looks way better. Like the Samsung and Sony doesn't have black and white stabilizer, so they can't get this image even close. You can, as I said, yes, you can dial down the black level a lot to mitigate for the midtones being raised, right? But the more you dial down the black level slider on the TV and the fine-tuned dark areas, you can always dial down fine-tuned dark areas to -30. It should be fine. You shouldn't be clipping blacks. But in some games, the black level is a little wrong. It's all like it's below the floor a little bit, so you are already getting black level crush. In that case, there isn't much that can be done, but you can dial this down like more to get more of that imagery that I was talking about, right? 30 is as close as we can get. And honestly, we can't see the roof here anymore. It's pitch black on a lot of like small elements here. So we're getting a lot of black level crush right now. And this, we can see all in the dark here, perfectly fine. I don't know how it looks on camera. I can go and check. Oh yeah, you can see up there. It's very slight, but you can see the detail. But it's harder definitely to catch it. So yeah. This works for all games, but I would be careful with how aggressively I want to change these settings. Because the thing is, you can ruin the picture with black and white stabilizer if done incorrectly. I have talked about that more extensively in the other video, so make sure that you don't ruin the picture. But if you haven't tried out these settings yet, it is important that you understand what they're doing and why you should be using them. In a game like this, it can really make the game look better. Like it is not even a comparison. So now you know when to use dynamic tone mapping in HIG, and you also know when to dial in black and white stabilizer. It's when the midtones look lifted like this. That's when it will be way better in comparison, and it will make your OLED pop like never before. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.